everybody, I'm Beebs Kelley. Welcome back to another video. So the drama between Prince Harry and King Charles and their missed meeting in the UK a couple of weeks ago continues. In case you missed it, leading up to the Invictus anniversary, in which Prince Harry was in the UK for like less than 72 hours or something like that, before he headed to Nigeria for a vacation of sorts, Harold was very busy informing the media that he intended on seeing King Charles during his brief stopover. It was also revealed that he would not be staying in a royal residence at that time. He then issued a statement that could only be seen as somewhat juvenile and petty, saying that the king had other priorities and that he would not be able to see Harry during the trip. It was a very unnecessary press release indeed. He could have simply said that their schedules sadly didn't align and he would make a trip back over to see his father as soon as his father had time. But no, Prince Harry must make swipes whenever the chance arises. Well, the plot has thickened since then. The palace and the king's staff never received a request from Harry to set up a meeting. And that means during the time in which Harry was planning his trip and knew his schedule for his Invictus events, he did not reach out to the palace, to the king's staff, to set up a meeting at all. So then Harry put out another juvenile petty statement saying that could the king have not put in a request to see him? It's widely known that he would be in the country during that time. I can't even. The inflated ego on Harold is out of control at this point. For him to think that the King of England should put in a request to see him blows my mind. What even is that? What is happening? It maketh no sense whatsoever. It's also absolutely hilarious. Harry accidentally makes himself a comical tragedy here. Just absolute ludicrous behavior turns him into a complete and utter joke. From an objective point of view, he believes he's done nothing wrong, and his family just don't or won't understand. Harry believes he is just as important as the rest of the royal family, which simply isn't true from the working royal monarchy side of things. But it is true from a personal side of things. King Charles loves and cares for Harry just as much as he does William. But in this case, Prince Harry is unwilling or unable to grasp the fact that King Charles has a massive responsibility. The demands of his father's position have changed. He can't accept that King Charles has a demanding schedule and the dynamic is now different. The idea that the king should have put in a request to Harry's team to see him is just, I can't say it without it sounding hilarious. It's just another indication of poor character on the part of Harry and Meghan. They have inflated egos and are completely obsessed with their image, which is no secret, but this is taking things just a bit far. Many believe that they're high in narcissism, and for Harry, at least, it's only gotten worse since he married Meghan. To me, the biggest mistake here is making a statement at all. To show the public your foolishness in this manner is a terrible look. He reveals atrocious parts of himself. I mean, who can forget him describing rubbing cream, his mother's favorite lip cream, on his nether regions while imagining she's in the room with him? Who can forget this? Complaining that his older brother had more sausage, revealing that he thinks a king of any sort should make a request to him rather than the other way around is just asinine. Rather than being a normal human being, a loving, caring son, realizing that his father is not only the king and thus very busy and in an important position, but undergoing treatment for cancer as well at this time. Rather than locating his cojones and putting in a request to see his father, he does this. It's just ridiculous and makes him look bad. It doesn't make the king look bad, it makes Harry look really, really bad. So it's bizarre to me that he wants to allow himself to be seen in this frankly idiotic, unkind, and self-centered light. He's just allowing his ego to get in the way and simultaneously damaging his own image. And as of filming this, the new update or leak is that Prince Harry turned down not only the chance to stay at a royal residence, all of which are very secure and as private as you could possibly get, but he also turned down / didn't request a meeting with the king because of security concerns. which is the most laughable and absurd idea, adding another layer of absurdity to this mess. I'm pretty sure the king has plenty security, that Harry need not be worried. This indicates that Prince Harry still does not understand the Ravik situation and his security arrangement. He was afforded a custom arrangement upon Megxit, a rather unprecedented one as well, to have his security determined on a case-by-case basis with 28 days of notice of trips, so that if he was granted armed security, police security for an upcoming visit, they had ample time to schedule the officers. Prince Harry is still under the impression that the palace, and thereby King Charles, have some degree of control over Ravik's decision. And it would also indicate that Prince Harry was denied his request for taxpayer-funded security for his Invictus anniversary trip, and so he was getting back at the king, I guess, by not having a visit. Because a completely unrelated body decided that Prince Harry didn't need police protection. It also shows more of Harold's selfishness, that he needs special security, that he needs to be asked to come and see the king. He also thinks it's okay to put out all these leaks to the press, try to make the king and the royals look worse. His father just wants to be able to focus on enjoying things. He wants to be able to focus on healing and getting better and recovering. He wants to have some peace and some happiness. And Harry, quite frankly, brings drama and stress. And leaking all of this is just proving the point, that Harry is hurtful, pitiful, and furthermore shows absolutely no growth. Harry and the Meg have gotten sneakier about their press manipulations in recent months, but they have not stopped. Make no mistake, this is the same methods that they've been using all along. To play the victim, to lie and twist narratives through leaks to the press, trying to make the royal family look bad or mean or wrong. And they're going to extra efforts for this. That's what's the most absurd part of this. They go out of their way to put out press releases or to make things look a certain way. Instead of just saying nothing or ignoring speculations or being honest that he didn't want to see his father, he's come up with a dozen different twisted stories and excuses for no reason other than to evade responsibility and continue his victim narrative. It's pitiful. And clearly Harry and Meghan have zero perspective. This whole saga just proves it. They spent years lying about their families, manipulating media narratives, and whining about their lives. They complain about everything still, and at every opportunity try to spin this victim narrative. While they sit in private jets and mansions with all their staff and millions of dollars, they have zero perspective of how privileged they are and how intolerant the public is of privileged people complaining at all about anything anymore. And Harry and Meghan clearly have zero perspective on what King Charles is going through. They don't respect the position he's in or his health struggles at this time. Because if they did, they would go to great lengths to avoid anything in the press that could possibly add stress to his plate. And they're doing the opposite of that. And this continues to damage Harry and Meghan's image no matter how many faux tours they do or exclusive filtered press coverage, aka propaganda, that they push. That lack of perspective is often people's downfall, celebrities included. When you don't wrap your head around your privileges, it's a disaster. Between things like this and the Nigeria fumbles, it really makes you wonder why Harold and the Meg are allowing themselves to be seen this way still. It takes a huge amount of self-control to keep a good public image. People will say things. The tabloids will say stuff. There will be impressions out there that are not always true about you. But when you start complaining or explaining to the media, you end up looking foolish. You end up looking like the problem. It's an amateur move. So it just goes to show how much strength the royal family really has, that they've continued to come out on top because they never complain and avoid explaining as much as possible. It allows their actions to speak loudest, and people do see them doing good and are not worried about the drama. I mean, Harry and Meghan are the infamous pot stirrers, known such only by their own doing. But speaking of the royal family, it's been absolutely lovely to see King Charles getting back in action. He's so happy to do so. You can just see it. His whole face lights up, and it's just lovely to see. He looks very happy. He hosted this garden party, and he's headed back to France soon, likely looking forward to trooping the color as well. Also, Prince William has been keeping very busy, impressively so, with everything he has on his plate at this time. The headlines really seem to oscillate between reconciliation on the horizon when it comes to Harold and the rest of the royal family, and those headlines that say Prince William is the problem. For example, over the last couple of weeks, some headlines read that Prince William was furious over the Nigeria stunt, or that King Charles and Prince William were upset about the Nigeria stunt. And some headlines claim Prince William won't allow the king to reconcile with Harry. I don't believe any of those things. I think that Prince William would put his foot down when it comes to actually being involved with Prince Harry himself, because his priority, Prince William's priority, is to protect his family. He really wants to keep things not stressful for Catherine. The last thing he wants to do is bring Harry around, somebody he doesn't trust at all. In many ways, they're in a bit of a vulnerable state right now. Having Harry around is a threat at this time. And I think King Charles is fully on board with that. He also doesn't want anybody bringing any problems to William and Catherine's door. But I also don't see Prince William making anything difficult on his father either. I think that William understands that King Charles may have different priorities as a father and want to reconcile with Harry if he so chooses. So long as it doesn't involve William directly, I don't think William would make a stink about anything at all. Honestly, I think Harold and the Meg are the only ones preventing any sort of reconciliation, because they still seem to want an apology. They put out press statements saying that they're ready to forgive, but at the same time, behind the scenes, the rumor is they still expect an apology from the royal family. And everybody knows, the popular opinion is, Harry and Meghan are the ones who owe an apology to the royal family. Many of them. Also, I don't think that King Charles or Prince William are all that furious about Nigeria. Obviously, there are thin lines and gray areas that Harry and Meghan crossed and muddied during their Nigeria vacation. And mayhaps they are discussing or considering how to prevent more of this in the future, but at the same time, Harry and Meghan made themselves look like fools, ultimately. It's not the rival royal family they thought they'd be projecting and looking like in the press. They looked very B-team. Actually, no, they looked C-team. It just was not it, and it was all punctuated by that big Archwell delinquency headlines that was sensational in the press. So really, none of it went off as well as they thought it would, and I think that by King Charles and William just kind of sitting back and letting that unfold, enough was said right then and there. And while I'm sure nobody in the royal family is jazzed about Harry and Meghan's stunts, it's really not a concern. It's clear who are the bigger people in this situation, and those who are ranked as most unpopular celebrities, Harold and Meghan. They are the most disliked figures. Number 1, Meghan. Number 2, Harry. Most disliked people. And when people self-sabotage the way narcissistic types often do, the way we've observed Harry and Meghan do, it truly is just better to leave them to it. And that is the approach the royal family have taken. And it's clearly working really, really well. And therefore, I don't think that they're furious about it. Perhaps annoyed, but really it's not their problem. If anything, I think they might feel a bit bad for them, or perhaps they used to feel bad for them when things like this happened, and part of me sometimes feels a bit bad for Harry about all this, but not so much anymore. I was really happy to see Prince William at the Buckingham Palace garden party, alongside Zara and Mike Tyndall, as well as Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. Zara looked so fabulous. Oh my gosh, this was great. I absolutely love the evolution that especially Beatrice and Eugenie have gone through in recent years to be dressing so much nicer. This is just looking great. And have all of the cousins there supporting William and the king was perfect. And maybe we'll do a garden party fashion edition, because Zara's dress, Zara's whole entire look here was perfection. So as more news has come out about the Nigeria trip, we learn of more and more bad optics coming out of it, including the owner of the airline, Air Peace. He was photographed with Harry and Meghan and is apparently wanted by the US government for over $20 million of fraud and money laundering. Prince Harry and Meghan's rebuttal to this was that it was Nigeria's chief of defense who organized their transportation, and it's not their fault who they picked. And while that may be true that they weren't the ones who picked the airline, it matters not. This sort of a thing simply wouldn't have happened with a royal team behind a trip like this. It just goes to show the amateur approach, the unprofessional approach, and what bad things happen when you don't do your due diligence. It's just another example of them not understanding the gravity of the situation. You can't just let someone else organize your travel with potential criminals when you're in the public eye like Harry and Meghan. And you can't publicize your travel and allow it to be used for said criminals' monetary gain. Because now he says that his airlines are royally approved. They are not, because Harry and Meghan are not royals. But these are the type of mistakes that Harry and Meghan make all the time. They're not just creating bad optics, but shining a light on just how amateurish they really are and how bad they are at doing this on their own. They're in way over their heads. Trying to do faux tours like this is not something they are successful at. And the responses to it have been very negative. Regardless of People magazine's propaganda, people have seen through this, and they were pictured with at least one other known criminal. And it's also really highlighted some selective outrage amongst some groups. You can really tell who only reads People magazine and who reads anything else. Let's put it that way. And Gavin Newsom is probably really regretting his defense of Archewell a couple of weeks ago, because immediately after, all these pictures surfaced and the news hit that they had been mingling with at least 2 known U.S. fugitives. Not a good look for a governor. As the dust continues to settle after the Nigeria trip, it's clear one of the main purposes of the trip was to get footage for Meghan's stash. The stash of pictures and events or announcements that she holds on to release at very suspiciously convenient times. It is not a coincidence. Just like dressing up like Diana is not a coincidence. If it happens more than 3 times, you don't get to claim coinky-dink. Just hours after Prince William had a virtual appearance at the Steve Irwin Gala, the Meg performed her usual petty press release and put out something related to the Nigeria visit. Similarly, after her really terrible optics of Archewell being declared delinquent temporarily, she put out footage from Nigeria as well. This is exactly what we discussed one of their main motives were. Whether it's bad news about Archewell, or Africa Parks, or the royal family hitting the headlines for something worthy and positive, Harry and Meghan have this saved up stash of footage and pictures to put out when they need to divert the headlines and the media attention. It is expected with negative stories, but it's just plain rude for somebody like William, for example. With everything he's going through, he deserves a lot more grace and respect and kindness than what Meghan and Harry are showing him. Someone like Meghan would probably just play dumb over the timing of these things. But it's very clear at this point that she and Harry have spent a lot of time reading up on their media coverage. And this pattern is so well documented, with them piggybacking or within hours of William or Catherine doing anything, releasing something else themselves. So there's no denying that they do this on purpose. The most disliked figure, Meghan, is planning a charm offensive this summer, goody for us, to try to claw back some degree of approval from the public, but she's already been trying this for a long time now, and it's just not working. The more she tries, the worse it seems to get. Because at the end of the day, she's just some lady who married a wealthy dude, now thinks that she should be allowed to parade around, acting important, getting curtsied to, called Duchess, using a title she's disconnected from in every way, and just be liked, adored, or loved. Just because. For no other reason. She's not doing anything. And people recognize it. The piece that they're missing and not grasping is that the general public like celebrities in spite of their enormous wealth. Because of their talent or charisma, it's a delicate balance, and one that the Meg does not get at all. And Harry cannot even begin to understand. They have zero concept of this balance. Harry was liked in spite of his bad behaviors, because of the family he comes from, because people loved Diana, because they felt bad for Harry, and because of PR gymnastics thanks to the palace. But now they don't. There's nobody cleaning up their messes and hiding their bad behaviors. People no longer feel bad for Harry, and so now people just plain don't like him. And people just plain don't like Meg, because she was never hugely popular in the first place, and is even less so for wanting so much for doing absolutely nothing. Not to mention the fact that anybody who looks will see liars, hypocrites, and snoots, self-absorbed wieners when they look at Harold and the Meg. There's nothing aspirational here. There's no successes or triumphs, no role model energy coming from Harry and Meg. Meghan is allegedly devastated at the reactions that American Riviera Orchard Montecito got when it had its little soft launch, if you could call it that. More crying on the floor, I suppose, has ensued. But that's what happens when you try to do something in a really unoriginal, copycat manner, and it's not well thought out at all. This is why people say that Harry and Meghan really kind of doomed themselves for life when they did the Oprah interview and all their blabbing and running of the mouths. Had they gone off and spent a few years just living quietly, maybe even modestly, shocker, doing quiet behind-the-scenes volunteer work where they volunteered their time and built relationships with charities, then came out with certain projects or more media-facing things, then people would respect them and would have welcomed them more warmly and not seen them as trying to compete and been petty. Because Harry and Meghan have created an image of themselves as being petty and not kind and trying to compete because of all these moves that they make that are just impulsive errors. Now they can't really just do good like they claim to want to. More headlines say Harry is ready to forgive. It's always the toxic one who's saying they're ready to forgive or asking to move on, completely unaware of the damage they've caused. I don't believe that Harry's actually ready to move on at all. But what do you think? Leave it in the comments. And do you think William and Charles are furious over the Nigeria trip? What do you think the reactions are behind palace walls? Thank you so much for joining me for this royal update. I will see you next time. I hope you have a happy day ahead. Bye.